feel free to when I get back in, I can adjust. It's just, I hit one button, it comes right back to me, so get whatever you want. Certainly want to see where you're going.
Do you have to like hold that down to move from here?
Well, you have to select left or right, and then...
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And then you just have to, this is... Pull that up for drive, that up for reverse, and that's manual, but then you just have to have your foot on the brake when you do it. Whoa, look who's coming. I'm going to let him get by. Tis the season for those big bastards. Well, he's got a convoy behind him. Lord. Imagine what that thing must cost. And then attach that to it. Jesus. It's got a fairly stiff throttle, which I actually like. I think it's designed to be safer because you don't want a featherweight throttle when you got all this horsepower. So, and the Acura we have is just the reverse. It's got this featherweight throttle, so when I get in the 2, there's always that moment of what the fuck,
Yeah, my mom's van, that thing has like a huge sticky pedal. It's like I could press it like halfway down, and it would take like a whole second to register that I even pressed it.
Yeah, sometimes a delay, but just that, you just accidentally lay your foot on it and you take off, Because the Acura's got, it's got like 275 horsepower, so it's got some go. But, anyways.
Yeah, the steering wheel is definitely like something.
Yeah, I find it real comfortable.
Yeah, it is nice.
And it's, the angle makes it really, nice to see the dash.
I'd usually set my thumbs like right here or whatever, just for like regular driving anyways, like those naturals. The steering really sensitive. I remember that from the...
I still can't hear you a little bit.
Yeah, the steering is really sensitive.
It is, and it is very precise, so it's just, put it right where you want it. These little chicanes like that, I just think they're a lot of fun. Section now they're using as a detour because they're working on something over there. So hopefully they'll turn right. One of them is anyway.
This mirror, I think I'd have to get used to.
I love that mirror.
Yeah.
The nice thing too, I found I was in the car one day and the sun angle was just such right that the sun was reflecting off of it. And my instinct was, oh shit, but it's like, who cares? So you turn it in, it's just a TV screen. So you can turn it so that you don't get the glare on it. It's nice at night too because it stays brighter. It's got more photosensitivity. So it stays, so even in the dusk, it still looks like daylight for a while. So it really is nice.
You can see like the top of the spoiler.
Yeah, and you can set that too. You can dial it up. Before I got the spoiler on, I got the spoiler later, and I had it, so I just dialed up so you could just, kind of just got the bottom of it in the view. guy that I met last night, that restores motorcycles, his wife drove down from Cleveland, that's where they're from.
Oh, yeah.
And then he rode one of his motorcycles down yesterday. And he's riding it back to Cleveland today. He was going to take the back routes, over east and up around.
Yeah.
Good day for it. A little cool, but
yeah.
Gonna ride a motorcycle, you gotta be a little hardy. One thing I love about mine is it's the only sport bike, I think the only sport bike in the world, comes with heated grips. And I'll tell you, man, when you're out riding, it's like 50 or 60 degrees and your hands are freezing. You turn those babies on, and it is, oh man, it is. I ride a motorcycle probably 10 to 15 degrees colder than I used to before, just because those grips make such a difference. I mean, you can get your body warm, but it's real hard when your hands are out in the breeze to keep them. It's 2 speeds, hot and hotter. So that's. Remember when I saw that it came with it, I went, really? Cool.
It's a BMW, right?
Yeah. It was a little extra package you could buy, and it also has cruise control. Like, what sport bike has cruise control?
Yeah.
I never had the courage to even try it. I thought, God, I don't want to ride a bike down the road with the bike deciding how fast it's going to go. Well, I shipped it. We used to go to New Mexico, for a month every year, and I shipped the bike out one time. So I was riding out way up in northern New Mexico, out in the boonies, and the roads out there. I mean, they're nice, but they've been out there for years and years, and they're blacktop. And eventually the blacktop kind of evaporates away from the heat, and then you're left with kind of like pebbles, underneath. I just didn't really have full faith, in the amount of traction. So I wasn't working the motorcycle very hard. And I turned back on a road that would head back towards Santa Fe. It's just a 2-lane road, kind of semi-major road. Of course, in New Mexico, major road is like this.
Yeah.
But they had just paved it for about 50 miles, and it was straight as a frickin' arrow, and there was nobody on it. And I went, my God, if not now, when? So I ran it up to 140, and back down, and thought, well, that was nice. Well, shit. So I ran it up to 145, my personal best on a motorcycle. And then after that, everything was fine. But then I said, well, shit, I'll try. So I turned the cruise control on. And God, it was great. I mean, it just kept it right at speed. And if you did anything, hit a brake, or it would kick right out, so it wasn't intrusive.
Yeah.
So I've used it once in a rare while since, but it's just, I think if you're going to ride distance, it would be kind of handy. Yeah, I had a Kawasaki before that. It was a 1100, and about 100 horse. And just as the time went on, I loved the bike, but I kept thinking, this would be funny if this just had a little more horsepower and some other things. And then that BMW came out, and it had 160 horsepower. It had electromagnetic suspension, linked ABS brakes, traction control, everything. I said, oh yeah. I'll be having one of these. I think if I was going to buy another bike today, I bought it in 2014. If I was going to buy another one, it's exactly what I'd buy. I don't think there's anything out there any better.
Yeah.
For me, with that much power, like this thing, it's got full traction control, and I'll never turn it off. I mean, why? It's just, I don't need to slide the rear end around or spin the tires. So it's just, as an old guy, I figured that if my motorcycle didn't have traction control, there's probably a good chance I would have been down on it at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know if it's ever intervened, but I think they're so good now, it's hard to tell. The car really inspires confidence, doesn't it? I mean, you just figure you can do anything with it. I felt bad about getting rid of my C7, and I really had qualms when I saw him, drive it off into the garage. And then I got in this and drove about 5 minutes and went, "See ya, honey." I got a new girlfriend.
I can definitely tell just from being in the engines in the back.
You can tell what?
I can definitely tell that the engine the ergonomics of like just driving it feels way
Yeah.
different than any other car.
And I'm not, I don't think I've ever driven. I drove one rear-engine car, 20 years ago, but I really didn't have a sense of what it was going to be. But it was different. But I couldn't quite quantify what it was. But all I know is that it felt good. It felt comfy, and the tires are huge. They're like a foot wide back there. I mean, they're just massive. So it definitely lays it down and sticky in the corners.
I saw Ford. They made a new Mustang.
Oh yeah, it's actually been pretty well reviewed.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna keep going with the electric one, but that one, that one kind of flopped. But
yeah, I don't know. I haven't really heard much about it. I mean, the people who, as electric cars go, they seem to think it was a fairly decent one.
yeah.
I was wondering what that one was that was in front of us back there that turned off.
Oh, that was.
Was that just a regular Mustang? That wasn't the electric one, was it?
No, that was the. I think it was maybe a GT350 or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
I lose track, of what they all are. But
I think the new one's called like the Dark Horse or something.
yeah, I'm not sure I know.
I don't know. It looks interesting to me, but they changed it up a bit. Like the taillights are much more like retro to like the 60s Mustang.
I think that's what they always, if they're going to build a muscle car, it always has to have something that sort of throws it back to that era.
Yeah, I think that's what they were trying to do.
Well, I had my Camaro Z28, which was really fun. I mean, it had the same engine as the Corvette did, except it was the Corvette engine that year put out 300 horse, and this one was 275. They always detuned them. But it was a bigger car. Had a back seat. And I always thought if I could just, take my Z28 and get rid of the back seat. So that's why I finally got rid of it and got my first, Corvette, a Corvette of that same vintage. Because I just like the little smaller sports car. I didn't really need the back seat. So
Was that the like the Catfish Camaro generation?
it was the wedge. The
yeah.
real slick. I always liked the look of those.
Yeah,
I was never that much of a big fan of the early ones, but I thought the wedge was a good looking car. And I remember I bought it used from somebody, and they had it for a long time and had cars. And I drove it for a long time, and it was very reliable, and it was a good performer. And then I got the Corvette, which I liked, but it was the first, C4 was the first time they started getting electronics. They had the electronic dash and things, and it was,
those dashes are cool.
I had problems with it.
Oh, really?
After that, it was 20 years old or more, and it was kind of an annoyance. And I didn't like the C5 and the C6 Corvettes that much. I mean, they were all right, but they just didn't sing me. But when the 7 came out, I just went, oh damn, you are pretty. So that's when I got rid of the C4 and went to the 7, and also went to the C7 with its full warranty. And so any problems were not mine. But interestingly enough, I had that car 6 years. Never had one problem with it. Did not take it in for service one time other than just, oil changes and shit. It's okay, it just flattens out. And I took this road, it was over east somewhere, and it was just like, and you'd come up these rises, and you could see nothing. And sometimes you got over the rise, and it was a turn. And it was like, holy fuck, man. It was just, you just couldn't. I suppose if you drove the road up, maybe you'd know, but man, it looks like we're going to get into this load. We've actually done pretty well.
The guy in front of us was going like 80 the whole time. So.
Yeah, I find this road up, 70 is kind of, it's just nice. It's a little energy. It's too bad because there's a great curve up here. That's like you always find them when the curves are coming up. I was thinking of it now. This is an easy one.
Yeah, I always liked the C5 Corvette. I don't know why. I think it was. It's probably.
I didn't think any of them were bad, but they just, somehow, a car drives right, and you go, oh, nice car, and then other times it drives up, and you go, damn, But they just never viscerally got me like the 7 and the 8 did.
Yeah, I think I think it was because I liked the C6 a little bit, but the C5 was just like more sleek and had the pop-up headlights, right? So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, everybody was pissed when the 7 didn't have pop-up headlights and round tail lights. I mean, all the old guys.
Oh, yeah.
And also, of course, this is the first year Corvette has ever not had a manual transmission option.
Oh, I didn't.
And that pissed a lot of them off.
Did the C7 have at least paddle shifters?
Yes, it had paddle shifters and automatic, but it also, you could get a manual, but it was a 7-speed. And I thought,
that's kind of weird.
First of all, I didn't have a choice because when I ordered one, and they were all sold out, and this guy only had Prospect already. I always love that term, but as you're kind of in town, you're kind of loath to really beat it. But yes, although I went to the dealer and I said, hey, I'd like to buy one. And he said, well, everything's sold. There's no more production. But he said, I got 2 coming in that are not spoken for that I ordered. I spec them. And one of them was this. And I said, well, what are they? And I said, okay, I'll take this one. So I didn't have a choice. I mean, not this one, the C7.
You're turning left or right?
Right, I'm sorry. Yeah. Just back over the river. And then we'll just go on down. We'll go back down along, the section line road. Back towards home. So but I think if I'd had my choice, I think I would have opted for the automatic. I mean, I've had tons of manual cars, and it was fun. But man, yeah, I mean, this thing is, they didn't put a manual in this because all it would do was slow the car down.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, hey, embrace the technology. We gave up oil lamps and we got electric light bulbs. So you just turn here, follow that Camaro.
7-speed manual would be kind of weird to do too.
Oh yeah, I'm just rowing through all those gears and just no thanks.
Well, I mean, I feel like most people would be used to like a 5 or 6-speed where
where the hell is 7?
You just hit it and then go into reverse. But
yeah, if you want to manually shift and feel free, you can put it in that mode. But it's just like I say, the transmission seems like it always knows what you're doing, what you need. So
I think I'd only want to do that if I just wanted to hear a downshift or something.
Well, of course, if you hit it, it'll downshift on its own too. But I've never gotten in a situation where I've been trying to do something and somehow the transmission didn't do what I wanted to do or what it should do. I mean, it's always given me what I asked for. So I think you can actually use the paddles when you're in manual, but then it'll kind of take back over. When you're done. Like if you want to downshift or something, you could probably do it. I'm not sure exactly what the algorithm is, but I think I tried it once and it would change.
So is the paddle shifter like a mode on this?
Yeah. If you hit M, it'll go in paddle shifter. There you go. Oh, I see. Yeah, and that doesn't show D anymore. It just shows big numbers in the gauge. Quick shift, right? You do that with the clutch. I don't think so. It was nice they repaved about 15 miles of this, and it's such a nice road now. Slightly increased risk of seeing somebody with a flashing light, but still not very highly. I mean, this road is pretty. I mean, the other one is a little less, but this one is a little more used. So just be aware. There's a couple of corners up here. I'm anxious to see what you do with. There's one up here that I always puss out on it. It's just kind of a little weird off camera. There's a guardrail, and on the motorcycle track, I'm gonna take this harder today, and I get out of it 51 miles an hour. It's just, and this one's pretty stiff too. Yeah, that's the old wedge. I find that on those little yellow warning signs, you know, they're always really conservative.
Oh yeah.
But I about double them. That's, you know, you can that's pretty. That'll usually get you up like 5 or 6, you know, tenths. And
Yeah.
so it's just kind of a reference. There's this one coming up here. It's the one that always I find interesting. So,
Right here.
yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah, it's a little. That's 6.2. Did good on that one. But yeah, that one, there's just something. It's a little flat and it's a little. It always just makes me a little nervous when I do it. The only regret I have is that every time I get in this car, my father loved cars. He loved speed. He was a fighter pilot. But he was gone before I owned this.
Yeah.
And the motorcycle too, because he was always coming, whatever I had, you know, he would take it out and drive it. And I just think, God, he would have creamed his jeans on this one. He would have loved this car.
Oh yeah.
He used to work in, you know what Area 51 is? You ever heard of that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, he used to work there. And he was in charge of the Blackbirds, you know, the SR-70, well, actually it was the CIA version, the A-10s, A-12s. But anyways, but they used to go up and they'd spend the week and then they'd come back because he lived in Vegas with my mom. But one of the guys that worked up there, I think one of the pilots, had a Jag XKE. And, you know, once you got into the Area 51 was huge. I mean, it was a whole nuclear test site. It was thousands, tens of thousands of acres. Once you got on there, you know, there was no highway patrol or anything. It was just, you were up there and you were one of the guys. So they had shit tons of fun with that car, you know, going up and back, banging through the desert at stupid speed. And he also had another phenomenal fringe benefit of working there because he was a pilot, but he was not certified or qualified to fly the Blackbirds. That was actually those were all civilian pilots. It was that program was CIA only. It wasn't Air Force. But if you were a rated officer, which means you were, man, the pumpkin patch is doing good today. They had these trainers, jet trainers around that you could just go out and fly because you had to get so many hours a month to stay current.
Right.
So he could just go out and check one of these planes out whenever the hell he wanted and go out and fly around the desert, flying down through the canyons and just having a good old time. And he said it was just the best.
Yeah.
It was such fun. I always envied him that experience too. I wish I could have slipped up in the desert and landed the thing and let me get in and let's go, you know. Man, it looks like they are really, really doing business today. Which means we'll probably run into a lot of pumpkin shoppers on the way back. This thing passes quite well.
Car, I just saw it come over the hill. I couldn't tell it was coming.
This thing feels like what?
I said I saw this car go over the hill.
Yeah, I was watching that too. Yeah, if you want to pass them, just sort of get up a little closer so you're ready. But I mean, it doesn't take long to get around them. There's some sections, you know, they're just like all double yellow, and every once in a while I just get frustrated and go, oh fuck it, you know, pass them anyway. Not quite close enough.
Yeah. That hill.
Yeah. No unnecessary risks.
Yeah.
There's plenty of space. Yeah, the stack is sage yellow around the corner. starts too. It always has this one little crack, you know, where you see the one cylinder fires out, gets people's attention. Civilization.
Yeah.
When we get up to the stop sign here, we'll sort of, it's a three-way, but it's sort of basically off to the right, so we're going to go off that direction. That'll take us back down by the quarry. Okay, so this takes us right into Delaware. There's a lot of traffic on this road that sort of takes, you know, this, the one we're getting on maybe might be a little less. But yeah, see where that car's coming from, just go in there. I've ridden this road 1,000 times. Doing a motorcycle, still do it. It's about a 60-mile round trip. It's just, you know, just kind of get out a little bit. Yeah, it's just so hard. If you want to go like south or east, you got to drive all the way through town to get there. It's just a pain. Man, oh yeah, like lipstick.
Go straight.
Yeah, yeah. About the automatic is just, you know, when you're driving, it just takes one thing you don't have to think about out of the equation. You can just focus on driving and not worry about all the other what gear you should choose, watching the tag.
I think I'd really only have a manual car if it was like, if I already had a daily driver car that wasn't automatic at least.
Yeah, or you got something vintage, you know, that's just kind of fun to go out and, or a nice little simple 4-speed, you know, which is, you're not just rowing yourself to death.
Yeah.
My motorcycle, I used to, a lot of times I double shifted. I'd go 135, you know, because it had so much torque you could do it.
Yeah.
God, I came through this intersection one day on my motorcycle. I was back there and the light was green, and I thought, how can I make the light, you know? So I hit it. I hit this at about 100. And I hit that rise, and the motorcycle lifted, and I set back down, and there was a guy here waiting for the light, and I thought, what the fuck must he think? But I remember there was a lot of crown in that road, and at 100, it was quite noticeable. It was fine, you know, no drama, but I remember once I was coming up here somewhere, and there's an older motorcycle I had. And I really was on the throttle hard and was just kind of going up, you know, up a straightish road, a little, you know, bit. And all of a sudden, the motorcycle just shot forward like somebody hit me in the back. And I thought, what the fuck, you know? Yeah. And I realized what had happened was there was a little rise in the road. The motorcycle had come off the ground. The rear wheel had spun up and was set back down.
Yeah.
And it gave me that little kick, and I went, yeah, son of a bitch. Man, it took me a while to figure it out, but that's what it was, you know, so, okay. It was the damnedest feeling. I think that must happen to motorcycle racers a lot.
Yeah, I saw this, I don't know where I was watching it or something. It was like dirt bike racing, and I every time they go over the hill, they would just like floor it, like in a.
Yeah,
their engine would just rev up.
To really launch them.
Yeah.
I used to love, they used to down at the fairgrounds, they used to have the half-mile national dirt track champions, the Harleys, the guys, steer wheels all right, they got the steel shoe.
Yeah.
I used to go there with my dad when I was a kid, and I went, and finally it got so rowdy down there. I mean, it was like, 10,000 motorcycles in the parking lot, and all the biker gangs. I mean, it was fun, but it got a little too much, and they fairgrounds threw them out. But I really miss that kind of racing. It was just such fun. They still do it in Springfield.
Yeah.
I've gone over a couple times just to watch it because it's just I'm kind of sentimental about it.
Yeah.
But now I watch. I'll take it down if you want it. It does it gets to 100 pretty damn easily.
And it doesn't feel like it.
No, it doesn't. It does not. I'm at it to 151. That's as far as I've gone. On Beanolin Road, actually. But that road, they repaved it a few years ago, and it was nice. But now it's starting to get a little lumpy, and the car was getting a little twitchy, and so I got to find a better speed road.
Yeah.
Theoretically, I think the top end of this thing is somewhere, north of 190.
Oh yeah.
190. I think when they had this in Germany, Nürburgring, I think on the big straight they got these. One of the videos had it logged at 194.
Wow. It doesn't have like a speed limiter on it, does it?
I don't think it does. I think it's just purely horsepower limited.
Yeah.
We'll get to Beanolin Road here in another couple of miles, and we can just take it back down that one.
Yeah.
There's a big bunch of greenhouses. You'll see them, so you got a little ways to go yet. It's one you shouldn't miss it. You see those greenhouses kind of in the distance.
Oh yeah.
That's where we'll turn. Beanolin was always my speed road. It's just arrow straight. There's nobody on it, no houses. But it's it's right up there where that truck came out. See that big light. But it's gotten a little. I mean, it's still a good speed road if you get it by yourself. But it's just getting a little bit lumpy. It's funny. I remember this car had a built-in. Looks like you got yourself and want to whack it. It's always nice to be with somebody who appreciates it. Yeah. I always loved acceleration. Just that feel is just fun. Puts a smile on your face. Yeah, I do the same thing. I drive right. I track it right down the yellow. Let it hang. Yeah, it's funny. This car, it's the only car I've ever known that had an enforced break-in period. For the first 500 miles, it wouldn't let you go over 80% throttle, just to be sure the engine brakes it properly, and they had things they were supposed to do. So I'm out driving, getting my 500 miles, driven in, and I was coming down that road, and I turned 500 miles about 100 yards from that turn. So I turned the corner, and for the first time, hammered it right there. I thought, thank you, Jesus. Timing could not have been better.
Yeah.
Roundabouts are growing like weeds, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Man, they're just everywhere.
They're all over here.
I mean, I've driven in England a bunch, and of course roundabouts are, every intersection is a roundabout.
Right.
And so I'm kind of used to them. They're kind of fun. They're just like nice little, little chicanes. And these tracks are kind of medium, so a little restrained, but not crazy. Yeah, it's good. I always stand up in the pegs on the motorcycle when I go over those. Have you ever had a motorcycle? Do you have any motorcycle? I didn't think you had any appreciable motorcycle experience.
So we'll turn right.
No, actually straight across.
Oh, okay.
And I was gonna say I'd love to let you ride the motorcycle, but I don't think you want to ride that one until you've got some time under your belt. It's a bit much.
Well, I had that tiny blue electric one.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember that.
A little transfer, but not quite. You know?
Yeah.
And also, I mean, it's a big bike too. I think it's kind of weird. I mean, when I started off, I had little things and gradually worked my way up to bigger things. But now, God, people start off with 600 sport bikes, and it's just crazy.
My friend from the Delaware school, for his first bike, he's even getting a bike at what is he, 16 or 17? But he's getting maybe he already has it. I think he has a Yamaha R6.
Jesus.
So, yeah,
that's like professional. I mean, that bike's performance is like what road racers were, 15 years ago. I mean, they'll do 160 miles an hour. I mean, it's just crazy. Yeah, my first motor vehicle was a 1956 Lambretta motor scooter, and I loved that thing and drove it. Crashed it a couple of times. And it's kind of downhill stop sign up here, and then we'll take it right back down to 315. And then I had a Honda 50, and then I had a Honda 90, and then I had a 250 BSA, and then I finally, after 30 years, I had a 600 4-cylinder, Radian, and then the Kawasaki, and then finally this one. So I mean, I've worked my way into it, and also gotten older and less stupid.
Yeah.
I remember I was in the Z28 one time, and I got on the 315 at 161 and came down the on ramp.
Yeah.
Here come these two guys in sport bikes, crotch rockets. And they came by me like I was standing still. So I sort of thought, well, what the fuck? So I hit it, and I followed them, and I was doing about 100, and they were still losing me.
Yeah.
And, and they're like doing wheelies and going around the house with the corner at, 130 miles an hour. I thought, these guys, I mean, if you want to do that, come up here.
Yeah.
315 in the middle of traffic. So I'm guessing these guys are dead by now, or should be.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just, that the stuff that's out there is so high performance. And it still amazes me that, like, my bike, it's a 1-liter engine, and it puts out 160 horsepower. I mean, how in the hell do they do that? That's just insane.
It's just like naturally aspirated, nothing's...
Fuel injected, that's it. I mean, 11,500 RPM. You can imagine what those little pistons are doing in there. Man, working. And in this, and that's actually detuned, because in the crotch rocket version of my bike, they get 190 horse out of the same engine. So it's just like, good Lord. Yeah, it's interesting. When they did the difference between my bike and the crotch rocket is just I don't have all the fairings, and also the riding position is more normal, and it's geared a little lower, and a little less horsepower, a little broader torque curve. So it's just designed for a little more normal riding. But interestingly enough, I saw some road tests the other day. They were talking about the fastest quarter mile motorcycle stock, and the crotch rocket is 9.97 in the quarter mile at 140. My bike is 9.96. It's 1/100th of a second different than the crotch rocket because of the gearing.
Yeah.
So mine, you know, will probably only go, I don't know what the hell, it'll go 160, 165. That one will go 188. So all the extra horsepower just gives them, you know, from 140 on up, it's all over me. But how often have I been above 140?
Yeah, exactly.
Once. You know, so in all intents and purposes, I've got the full out sport bike.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it cool. It's also got clutchless upshifts too, which is really cool. You just hold the throttle. You don't close the throttle to shift. You just keep the throttle neutral or positive, and you just bang, 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 bang through the gears. You have to clutch first gear, but up through 6.
Yeah.
And you have to clutch it down, but it's really nice because you shift. They're close ratios, so you shift a lot. So it's much easier not to have to clutch it away. You just bang it up. So that was a cool little innovation on their part.
Oh yeah.
Let me get a light up here so you see. You really have pretty good traffic on this on the way back. I'm surprised. Usually it's stuck behind some, 40 mile an hour, and there's nowhere to pass on this. Yeah, it's all double. You seen this crazy house up here?
Yeah, it's
where the towers are?
Yeah, I think it was like one of the, maybe it was the most expensive house in Ohio.
Yeah,
I don't know what it was.
It's got to be. It's some guy in Delaware who owns some business that's doing it. But I mean, they've been building it for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. Well, I thought the owner of the house was like either like a relative or the same person that like invented the plastics that go over the trucks that go.
I really don't know what he makes. There was an article about the house and him, and I think his business is somewhere up in Delaware. But obviously, he made some shit ton of money and decided to build a monument to his ego.
Yeah.
But there's a huge building behind it too. I don't know whether it's a gigantic garage or horse stables or what the hell it is.
Yeah.
I remember they started on that gate, and I thought, oh, there's going to be a big subdivision in here. Well, no. Just one castle. So I don't know whether he's actually in it or not now, maybe. That's 6. I got the 5 and 6. I always get confused.
Yeah, the only way I can really tell them apart is the headlights.
Okay.
Because the 5 has the pop-ups.
I still have not seen many of these out. I mean, there just aren't that many of them in the world.
Yeah,
have you seen a few?
I see a lot of like that dew yellowish greenish colorway of the Stingrays.
Yep,
but
a lot of red. I've not seen another one this color.
Yeah, I've seen like the
light blue. Yes,
yeah,
the rapid blue. I've seen those. Yeah. But I think when I looked at it, I don't know how many colors there were. I think it was 8. but this was number 6 in popularity. And you know, there's 2 different reds. There's black, white, yellow. You know, and it's just, but for some reason, but
yeah, I've seen a lot of those like deep red.
Yeah, they got. I think they've even got. Yeah, I got 2 different kinds of red now. But I just like the blue, and I spec'd it with the black wheels instead of the shiny ones. I just kind of liked it kind of subtle. Yeah. A lot of people don't want to be subtle. They want to be seen.
Yeah.
We always call that arrest me red.
I didn't notice the G's on the dashboard of like, I thought it was just a number, but it's like each turn or each side of the car.
Yeah. It's if right or left turns. One of the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you manage to watch yourself and see what you were doing on some of them? Because so many times you get so wrapped up, and by the time you look back, it's gone.
Yeah. Like on a couple I looked, and then the others I was just like completely forgot.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I thought it was interesting that I guess it just that way you don't have to think about it on the recorder. There's a circle, and you're the dot, and then the dot goes this way, and you know, you've seen. I'm sure you've seen those before. So, well, you'll be able to know what you did on all of them because it's all been recorded.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to send a copy to the Highway Patrol and give me your address. Coming soon. When the cop stops you and sticks his computer in the side of your car and says, "Oh, I see what you were doing." There's insurance companies now that have things you plug into your car.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And then you send it back to them, and you know, as long as you've been a good driver, you get good rates. But you've been out bucking around.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be never having one of those. It's hard to find the chip. It's open up that glove box. It's down there and it's dark, and it's the little tiny square ones. You know, trying to find out where it is.
Yeah.
And I'll just take it out and put it on a zip drive for you, a flash drive. You can have it. Yeah. They tend to be kind of pretty good sized files because they're high res camera. It's a high res camera.
Does it record like the view too? Like
oh yeah, you got the view of the cameras right up here.
Oh yeah.
So it's got the view out the front, and then it's got all the data. And you can actually have it where it's just the view if you don't want to have the data. But like if you're doing a racetrack or something, you can go and analyze every corner you did, where you braked, where you started, what you had. So if you were doing that stuff, it'd be invaluable.
Was that like? I think I watched Mr. Conti's the Corvette video. Was it kind of like? I think maybe it was yours, but when you were talking to him or something, it had like your view while you were driving or something. Is it similar to that?
Yeah, that's it. It's just got a television camera out the front of the car, and also it records everything, all of our conversations on it too.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
And you can hear some sound, but you had all the data. I mean, even how hard you push the brake, how hard you push the throttle, and the steering in degrees. How many degrees of steering you got in it? I mean, it's all the parameters. So it's really kind of fun just to review and remember and learn a little bit too. Yeah. See if you're staying within the lines. See how many times you said "oh shit." I mean, it's. Although I found that the recording in the cockpit sometimes it's not real loud. There's enough ambient noise that.
Yeah.
But so that doesn't really matter.
Right.
Or just shooting the shit anyways. It's the visual. I turned it on the first day I got it, just talking to myself about it, and went out. I was out at the Tassel where I got it, so I drove up to the hills of eastern Ohio and up north, and had a lot of windies and fast people, and had a lot of fun. So nice memory. Yeah. Some people you can just leave them on all the time, and then it'll just record until it's full, and then it'll just start overwriting. So you've always got like the last hour or two of your driving. So if something happens or you got an accident, you'd have a record of it. So some people just run them all the time. I just try to, if I let somebody drive it, I try to remember to do it so they can have it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of fun to have.
Yeah.
share.
Is it like an MP3 file or?
I'm not sure what it is, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It's just on it. Yes, that little dish that's about, what, 3/4 of an inch square. That bit of size, whatever that one is. That little chip thing.
Micro USB.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that's what they're called.
Yeah.
So, easy to read and easy to load. It's nice. It just got a little slot in the glove compartment.
Yeah.
I think you can take it with pretty good size ones in, so I think you can record, a lot of time.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll just go down to 161. It's probably the easiest.
Yeah, sure.
So you can suit yourself. 2 ways home from here. Met the new people next door to you?
I think I might have talked to them once.
Sad. They seem really nice.
Yeah. They have are they the ones that are, they have like 1 or 2 kids?
Yes. No. The people that have 2 kids are the ones that are across the street. That's the ones I sold the house to.
Mm-hmm.
They just have 1 kid, but she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And so we have 2 pregnant women on the court. First time ever, at least as long as I've lived there.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to having a couple of cute new babies.
Mm-hmm.
Times progress. The last baby that was born on the court was Braxton.
Oh, yeah.
But he's a pediatric cardiologist at Children's. He's doing his residency. Great young man. So I'm just kind of glad because the last people there, I mean, they were okay, but they just weren't very sociable. I got to talk to them once.
Yeah.
And they just sort of were kept to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the dog was noisy, and
oh yeah.
so it's these people seem a lot nicer. And I think I'm hoping that they'll be friends with the other woman that's pregnant, because they're both guys that grew up here. They both went to California for school. They both married California girls. They both have at least 1 kid, and their wives are both pregnant. So
there's the new Mustang, that SUV, not the one that's getting on the highway right here.
That's the new Mustang?
Well, not the new one, but that's like the Mach-E.
Oh, that's the Mach-E. Okay.
Yeah, that's like
the badge didn't. Oh, it is a pony. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's right. It is right. It is a little SUV-ish, isn't it? I'd forgotten that.
Yeah.
I was out with my buddy who driving this. We stopped at the Ford dealership one day. We just kind of wanted to see if you had the new electric pickup truck.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't in yet, but we talked. All the guys were out, so we were all just. It was some odd day and nobody was there, so they were all looking at this car, and we were just having a good time. The guy said, "Yeah, we're going to get it in soon. You come in and give it a drive." I'm like, okay, sure, My buddy that drives with me in the car sometimes, he has a Tesla Y. Do you know that one?
Is that like the kind of like the SUV one?
Yeah, a little bit. And what it is it's more expensive than that baseline one they got. It's not as expensive as the hot shit top end one.
Yeah.
But I went out and we drove that. Actually, where we just drove in, we took that on the same loop.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really fun to drive. It was peppy, but also it had you know, you took my hands off, and it drove through the curves and all that shit, and it was. And the real fun was the regenerative braking, because I drove it for probably 25 minutes, and I think I touched the brake pedal maybe twice. Because you just take your foot off, and then it really slows down, so you can. Oh yeah, stop sign. Yeah, it just when to take your foot off was kind of like a video game.
Yeah.
And it was very effective, and of course you're reclaiming energy. You can go left and go right. It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
Left, either one. Kind of whichever one you think you can make. Yeah, we'll probably get lucky if we can make this one. Yeah, go for it. Cheated death again. So my friend always says every time he gets out of his airplane. It's one of my favorite lines. Still got some gas left too, man. We didn't kill it all. Driveway. I'll pack it up later. Now you must have put it away. Right there. We'll fold the mirrors in. Just push it. Now just put it right down the middle, and the little white bead should be about there. Fine. Just that on that left side, sometimes the door wants to hit the wall, so I try. Yeah, just. And there we are.
Cool.